All right, so Michael and I will be talking about the POC design proposal for native secret manager for GitLab. This is, I think, the first time it's going to be shown outside of my Figma file. So yeah, let's get started. Um, Sharing. So the first thing that I wanted to like talk about like where the features or where the workflow is coming from. We did very extensive researches. It started with a bunch of research that Erica did last year at different conferences. Then we had many reports generated from that. After that, it was followed by competitor evaluation, sketching exercise that we did internally with the team, which has its outcome stored here somewhere. So keeping all of this information in mind and like bucketing them into specific sections, this is what we finally achieved. So we figured that the main tasks that users come to any secrets manager to perform are like they want to store a key, then they want to get access to the storage. So in many different products, this concept of storage is different. So for example, one of the products, they call it a vault, and someone else calls it uh, like something else. And it's like a place where all the keys would be stored, and they would have policies for this particular place separately. So it was also up to us to like how we want to be envisioning this particular part of key storage. Like, do we want to create a new entity where all the secrets would be grouped, or do we just want to go with the kind of permissions and levels that we have today within GitLab and just sync with that? Then comes storing a key, of course, because that's what this is for. So what that would look like for developers, maintainers, and admins or owners. um, so we have listed some very basic tasks here, like adding a new secret or variable for a project that they have. Oh, that's extended. Yeah, they have access to, then preview a new secret before saving. And for maintainers, it would be pretty much like the same that developers are doing, but on top of that, they would also have access, some additional access to these two actions, additional actions, and then moving a key from project to group. So these are the things which are like just an outline that we are not 100% sure of that we want to include in the POC, because these are nice to haves. And in the POC, we want to strictly have things which are like essential. Um, so that's why I've given different treatments to this. And the next one is like accessing the key. So once a key has been stored, once a policy has been attached to a secret, what would accessing it look like for both the roles? Then managing the stored key, managing in the sense it's not as straightforward as variables this time, because there's a higher level of encryption. We are also allowing users to kind of decide for a validity for the key or allow rotation for the keys. So any of these requests, when they come across, how would those be approved, rejected by somebody, and what would that workflow look like? Now, based on that, I created a flow chart for actions, but I think instead of getting into the complexity of this, I can straight away go to what the design proposal looks like. So right now it's like full of comments from the team, and I have not resolved them yet. So I'm just letting them be here. Yeah. So what we have tried to like create here is, right now, the most critical feedback that is received, even like without asking sometimes, is that variables are very hidden. Like for something that's so critical to everyday workflow, they are in a very hidden location, and we don't want to do the same mistake with the secrets, especially when we are like starting off with it. So the proposal here is to probably like add a menu item in the navigation in the main nav, which would be for both secrets and variables together. So once a user gets into that, they would see two sections for secrets and environment variables. There are two tabs available for that. I haven't finished writing this, but I just wanted to put across a message that why users should be choosing secrets and under what circumstances and how they're different from general environment variable. Then below that, if there are secrets that are existing, they would see a list. If not, then there'll be an empty state that would like encourage them to create a new one and like get started. But if they have a list of secrets already, what they will see is the name of the key, some label indicating like what environment were they created for. And I have added inherited, but I'm not like 100% sure that's going to be very helpful. So I'm just seeking feedback around that. So this is to indicate that a secret has been passed down from a parent subgroup or group to a project. So this won't be available for the table in the groups, let's say. Then some information about when it was last used. So there's a feedback that instead of used, it should be accessed. And that would make like it more clear what we're trying to communicate here. So when it was last accessed by any of the environments that it was created for, and then if there is an upcoming rotation, because especially for developers, this information is very relevant. That's what we learned from our research, that it would really help them to know that if something is going to be changed right after they have decided to use it somewhere, because that would like they'll be more cautious while using it. Then apart from that, I really wanted to give some sort of shortcut here for example, the secrets are going to be included in, let's say, they would be accessed through the pipelines, the YAML file. So if we can provide some shortcut to copy it in a syntax that we could just like copy from here and paste in the YAML file, making it easier to use it within GitLab, and or like a shortcut for accessing it through CLI. I'm still like seeking feedback around it because I'm not the expert here, and I'm looking for feedback around what are the things that would make it easy for the users to use the secret when provided through here. Yeah, and that's for the list. Then coming.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a
Yeah,
few thoughts on this.
sure.
For the secrets are more secure, I would love to have like a text and a link to the documentation, which kind of explains all the differences so that users can learn by themselves.
Okay,
So
so
like
somewhere here.
somewhere here have a link to the docs so that I can learn more about secrets and variables. This would be helpful because the interface shouldn't be bloated with too many explanations. I think other interfaces, other views in GitLab do the same, having some documentation linked for learning async.
Okay. Yeah.
Regarding the inherited, I think it's a useful filter. I don't know if the search allows to filter, but this would be a useful filter in a way of knowing, okay, I cannot edit this at this level, but I need to navigate somewhere else. But I would need a link where I can edit it if I have the permissions. So this would be kind of a UX workflow I would expect from the UI. Hey, you cannot edit it at the project level, but here's a link to the group settings or instance settings or something like that. Which could be like adding this in a second iteration. But I think it's great to see all the variables, but there should also be like maybe a button or a predefined filter removing all these inherited variables and only show the variables which are defined at the project level. Because if you have a lot of environment variables or like secrets being defined, this could bloat the view. And oftentimes, either you do a security audit for like, why are secrets defined at the project level if we use them on the group level, or you want to like edit something specific for the project itself. So this would be helpful to like filter that in an easy way.
Okay.
I also would love to have orderings for last accessed and upcoming rotation so that I can change when was something accessed the last time, maybe for a security review or for like doing an analysis which secrets are actually in use by the pipelines, or maybe something else. So it's more like a convenience thing, similar to every date or everything which is a date value. I want to sort either ascending or descending to get an overview of things.
Okay.
I also would love to have a way that it doesn't say 2 days ago, but the exact ISO date and timestamp. So I'm not sure if this uses the user profile settings, but it should, so that, for example, the issue was updated 2 days ago, or the issue was updated on whatever. Maybe could also be like a popover text thing, which I think is implemented with the issues. This would be helpful so that I can see, and this is again a security incident review, I want to see the exact timestamp so that I can compare it with some logs or something else. But this is more I would say the maintainer view, or the security engineer reviewing something. It's not the developer using the interface.
So when you talk about that, I feel that we should be adding a separate section, especially for like security incident review here, so that we are more mindful of whether or not we are allowing those actions to happen.
Yeah, I think from a permissions level, yeah, it needs something like in between developer, maintainer, and more the security personas, maybe. So like the developer can be a user, the maintainer, whoever that is, and then the security teams or the DevSecOps teams, whoever owns the security perspective on a project, on the GitLab instance, maybe. They might be having different views on things. And now I'm jumping between topics. I also want to see an overview of all secrets used across my instance or my group, and being able to do actions on them, bike actions, for example. And this is something I want to do as like a security engineer, because there was a big leak, or big, like, all my AWS credentials are being leaked for some reason. And I want to just bulk search for AWS, filter by that, mark everything, and revoke everything. So a security engineer would want to revoke secrets, not delete them, but revoke them.
Okay. Michael, can you help me with an example of something very similar within GitLab that uses this approach? Anything
I
related
would
to
want to currently I can use CI/CD variables for everything. And
Okay.
I would love to get an overview of all my CI/CD variables on the instance or group level from all projects underneath. Currently, there's no way to get that, as far as I know.
Okay.
And in a similar sense, I also would love to see all secrets, because I have ownership or maintainer level access, and I want to get some sort of inventory. And depending on my role, I want to do something with that information. Either just like have an overview report and do some maintenance, and like out which variables or which secrets are being used, or from a security perspective, actively change or revoke some actions.
All right. Okay, this is very helpful. I will like add a section for new personas to this.
And potentially it makes sense to like ask someone from the application security team or trust and safety, when they analyze CI/CD pipelines, when something is being leaked or some tokens are being revoked, they can provide input how they do analysis, how they kind of work with all the things. I'd recommend asking Greg Myers from the AppSec team.
Greg Myers, is it?
Yeah, because there was a security incident for some developer relations projects with tokens being leaked, and it would be interesting. So I know a little bit how they do it, but it would be kind of interesting which tooling or which processes they are using, most likely the API, but it would be great to have something in the UI, like as a secrets management interface, kind of.
Okay.
Question for the input for the search. Will this be like I type something and then can use a wildcard? Like I want to search for SSH underscore as like the multiply character, or the
I
wildcard
haven't
character.
really,
Would this work?
we haven't talked about the technical details yet. I have opened this issue today and I would be happy to take this there, like how we want to enable
Yeah.
the
So
search here.
the higher level request without the technical details is I want to use pattern matching search within secrets search.
Okay.
I think that's possible with variables, but the same should apply for secrets.
All right.
The other thing is, yeah, the
This one.
copy command. I'm thinking of the agent for Kubernetes installation method right now. There's a popover. So I click on install the agent, and it provides me with a copy paste shell snippet. And I could imagine that a similar snippet will be useful to say, here is the variable, or here's the, I don't know exactly how the CI/CD syntax will be, but here is a CI/CD syntax snippet, which you can copy paste as a whole into your pipeline editor, for example. But this needs a popover. This isn't just like you click on it and have something on the clipboard.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. That's something similar to what I had imagined this to be. Um, and many of our team members have also like expressed this in the sketching exercise that they would want something of that sort, especially for accessing secrets. Like if a shortcut is available that they can just go and paste somewhere. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's great that that everyone thinks the same like I do.
Yeah.
For the actions, and this is more like a general thought, I would love to have revoke as an action. I do know that we can revoke personal access tokens and other things in GitLab. So it's not deleted, but set to inactive. Something like this is not rotated is something else, but revoked means it's still there. You can still see it in the history. It's probably filtered out or filtered away by default, but it's not deleted. And then probably a technical discussion needs to be done whether you want to only revoke secrets or you want to delete them. So this is something to be discussed probably with users and customers as well.
Okay.
And one other thought is like, what is a secret? There are so many different definitions out there, which you probably have seen in the UX research already. I talked to some folks about it. I think a secret can either be a key value, a secret can be a value, a secret can be a certificate, which I want to like inject into the CI/CD pipelines. From the current UX using CI/CD variables, for example, I have no idea how to add a TLS certificate, which I can then use in my Kubernetes cluster in CI/CD. This is, so the form is complicated, and I'm currently not sure if we should be using the same form for secrets as we do with CI/CD variables, because it's like a generic form, but maybe there's a way of, and probably this is like for the creation of a secret, more importantly, and also editing it, different types of secrets, and also having different UX or UI forms for that.
When you say forms, are you talking about the form for adding a new variable or something
Yeah, it's like
else?
I want to add a CI/CD variable, and I have the possibility to select file instead of value, which then allows me to store the value of it in a defined file, and then
Okay.
I cannot control anything. So it's yeah, it's probably the creation form which needs to be not generic, but really tailored on which type of secret is being added.
Okay. So I think we can now talk about this. So here for the new secret form, we are not adding the fields that we would otherwise show for adding a variable. Like none of those options, we are not asking them to choose between a type, like environment variable or file type. We are not providing the option to protect, mask, expand, because A, we don't want to expand like we expand variables. B, there's going to be an encryption by default that's going to be superior to what we provide for environment variables. So yeah, I would love to hear from you. What do you think about this flow?
So I think there should be a drop down or something to select a secret type. I'm thinking of 1Password here, which, yeah, the UX is sometimes great, sometimes not, but it provides me with the option to add a secret, which only has a value. And for example, the secret specifier is not being used.
Mhm.
It allows me to add an encrypted note, which I think could be the value in the text. But it also allows me to upload an SSH key, a TLS certificate, with the public key, the private key, and the private key is something I want to secure actually, and maybe the CA certificate. So anything I kind of need to store in my secrets management should be, I should be able to either select it from a dropdown, or, and this is great in 1Password, you copy paste an SSH key into the form and it automatically detects, oh, you have pasted an SSH key, I'm selecting the type for you. This could be like future iteration, instead of having the dropdown for the user.
Got it.
Um,
Auto
because
detect.
I was lazy in my previous life. I never stored my credentials in a password manager. Also the credentials, yes, but not my SSH key and all my tokens. And it would be great if the UX or the UI had some sort of detection. Hey, this is an AWS key, or hey, this is an SSH key. TLS certificate. I just need to look into my 1Password. What other types are available? Because then when I know the type, I could also offer the user some pop-ups or some help with, this looks like an AWS key. Maybe you want to consider adding security scanning, secret scanning to GitLab CI/CD, to be to automatically detect if something is being leaked. For example, could be an overlap with the secure stage or the secure section.
Okay.
Mm, I think SSH key and some other thing, API credentials are the same. So maybe some sort of type, secrets type should be available in the backend. So like as a database column, and the front end should should probably provide a drop down or like a, I don't know exactly. I don't like drop downs. Maybe something to being able to select that.
Okay. Yeah, depending on how many types we have, we can probably skip drop down if it's not like a long list. It can just be radio buttons to select from on the top.
Yeah, probably something like that. I don't want to have it overcomplicated. I'm just thinking of how I started using secrets managers, and sometimes it's not like a username password combination, but like something else. And after 1Password detected that it's like an SSH key for the first time, I thought of, hey, this would be nice, because from there, if you know the type, you can offer more integrations within GitLab itself.
Okay.
Other
All
than
right.
that, you mentioned that there are filters, that there are labels in the view when like listing the secrets. I would love for the user to being able to add my own labels. Maybe use the same way of using issue and merge request labels or epics labels, especially for scoped labels could be interesting. But some sort of tagging, which then can also be used for filtering the secrets. This would be a great feature. Maybe not in the first iteration, but some sort of organization management for secrets.
Got it. Yeah. For POC, many of these things might not make it, but we would be working for the MVC after that anyway.
Yeah, I think features are never 100% complete. So I think it would be great to have that. Maybe not in the first proof of concept or MVC, but to at a later degree, I think customers will request that feature.
Okay.
The access permissions are great. I think I don't know exactly how deep the permission management will go, but I could imagine something similar to HashiCorp Vault or how to access. Yeah, probably the role, for example, when a CI/CD job is running, if I triggered the job as a developer, I cannot get access because the secret is reserved for maintainers, for example. So this I think is a use case right now. I think other sometimes you want to filter for more, but I'm not sure if that's realistic. For example, using an IP address network or IP subnet. No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think HashiCorp Vault has some more fine granular permissions on how secrets can be accessed. Or
Yeah.
like with OIDC, and I'm not 100% and knowledgeable in that area, but when a specific attribute is being presented or something with OIDC, then I trust, or then this secret can be trusted. Probably a secret should also have maybe some attributes, maybe not. I don't know. I think I'm leaving that for those people who know about the stuff, and
Okay.
we can start a conversation in that issue.
We have like a whole different issue for permission discussions. So if like I would be sharing all these links with you anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Let's continue with some more thoughts. I think you have
Yeah.
the trash
So
bin. What does
this
the
one.
trash bin do? Delete what I did currently, or
Yeah, this should be disabled for like when somebody's starting off.
so it shouldn't be visible
Yeah.
for new secret. I mean, you could add a button reset everything I added if I want to start anew, but yeah,
That's a good idea. And like as you add one permission, you would get another row here to maybe add another. I'm not even sure if there would be a requirement to add multiple, but yeah, I need
Yeah,
to
the
work
thing
on the
is,
details more.
probably the technical background needs to be decided whether it's an and or an or, and then the UI needs to be built. But because this permission building in the UI can get quite confusing if you're combining multiple filters. So I would start like the discussion of what are the filters in the background, and then try to model the UI for that. I know that because in my previous open source project, we tried to create awesome filters which worked on the CLI, but the UI was horrible to build. So maybe it could also be like a free form. Yeah, probably. Yeah, we don't have that in GitLab. Yeah, I would say this is a more advanced feature, and it should also be available to customers only.
Yeah. And then like once they add the permission, I'm thinking of not providing an option to straight away go and add it, or rather like show a preview first, um, like summarizing everything that they have selected and what that would look like, and then
Oh,
allow them to
that's a
add the
great
secret.
idea. Yeah, I'm not sure about the encryption type because this isn't asked in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
So
probably going to.
I'm confused that this is here now. Because my next question would be, I want to edit this. So I would leave it away in the preview, but maybe there's a way to access the token in all its the secret in all its detail, like a read-only view or something, or like a view for the maintainer who needs to see everything. But for the preview, I would love to see everything which the form above provides in that order. So secret key, value, expiration, rotation, permissions, and the CLI command. Um, mm, yeah, I'm not sure about the CLI command. I think it could
Yeah.
be helpful, but some users can be confused about, hey, you need to create it first and then you can copy paste it. But I can understand if someone has multiple tabs open and they want to continue editing the CI/CD configuration and validate it and then create something.
How about we
So
show like an example of how this would be used in a pipeline, like in a YAML?
yeah, I think this would be helpful. Because I know myself, sometimes I'm preparing to add a secret, but I'm not doing the action. So I want to see how it works. And in parallel, I'm kind of editing my CI/CD pipelines already. And from there, it's like clicking the button the add secret on the left browser, and on the right browser committing the CI changes. This could be a workflow. So I think showing how it's being done in with the YAML could be a great way to encourage users to learn more about it. Maybe just linked also to the CI/CD documentation or getting started tutorial, something like that. Or maybe there's a section in the docs for adding secrets to CI/CD, created for this MVC. Which would be great because then we can kind of deprecate all the insecure methods which are currently documented.
Okay.
And sorry, I'm overloading you with ideas, which probably are not your domain area, but
That's what I like wanted from you, so I'm all good. In fact, thank you so much. Yeah.
um,
So after this, like once they add it from here, they'll go back to this page. And for right
um,
now, that's all we have. But I understand like when I move the same thing to group level, many things are going to change. For example, this form, it might have a field that says do not allow overriding at like a level below that. So
So I could create a group level secret which cannot be overwritten at the project level,
yeah.
or it can be overwritten.
Yeah, it's going to be sort of like a checkbox that if you want to really like not allow anybody outside this group to override it at any other level, um, something that ties in more with compliance where you don't want to risk it. So there should be an option to do that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's required that, for example, a maintainer of a project can specify the same variable, but with a different value, not
Yeah.
variable, secret, because you need to test something, or this specific project lives in a different network area, and let's make something up. The AWS secret needs to be different because permissions over there or company requirements.
Do you think this
Since
will be conflicting? Because for testing scenarios, this my
I
I
think
don't know.
I think for compliance reasons, it makes sense to say nobody can override it. We're defining it at the group level. But if there is like there's a request from users, I need to test something. I am creating an access request. I'm creating an issue to document this exception, so that I can use a different value for that. If I don't care about compliance, and I think this should be an ultimate feature, and I don't have access to that, overriding is possible.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think this would be a great addition for an ultimate feature, to be honest.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think when a secret has been created, this creates a timestamp field as well. So it would be interesting if that information is useful in the main listing. So last accessed, created, rotation. Maybe a column makes sense. I'm not 100% sure I would use that information, but it could be the default filter by created, like similar to the issue listing. You have created as a sorting filter. You have updated, which updated can be last accessed, for example. So kind of providing a similar workflow how you use the filtering and the sorting, like merge request, issues, and epics.
Okay.
Pagination. So if I have, like, let's say 500 secrets, which is
Yeah.
probably not the right number, but you have a lot of secrets, pagination would probably limit me to 50 or something. I would love to have pagination in a way that it's not the next page, but it shows all the pages. I do know that it's sometimes a backend thing or backend problem. But as a user, I would love to have some like paginated views, so that I can, for example, bulk select the first page or bulk select everything and do something with it in the case of emergency, for example. Which
Right.
again is a thought for more the security focused persons or something. Let's make it up. We're leaking all the GitLab.com secrets from our groups for some reason. So we need to take action on everything in that second. And so this could be a bulk action for this kind of things.
Right. And for limit, I think currently we are providing a limit of 200 for variables. So for secrets, what the limit should be, is also a question.
Yeah, I would follow what fits the UX best. Could also be like endless scrolling if I, yeah, or maybe I'm more like aesthetic. Maybe I'm probably searching for something and then going ahead with secrets. I think the search should also provide not only wildcard searches for text, but also allow to, for example, search for labels. So I want to, for example, search for env dash colon dev, so that I can like search for that actively. And maybe the search can also be persisted in the URL, so I can kind of edit it in my browser. But this is more like a technical implementation. How I don't know exactly how the search interface is implemented in GitLab or wherever to the different views.
Yeah. So after there's a technical discussion around it that's been kickstarted, then only I would also be able to give some answer around that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just me wishing things for Christmas and birthdays and so on.
But this is really good. This is a lot to work with. And I would right now, like for me, yeah,
is
go
there
ahead.
a way, since I'm seeing when you zoom into the first screenshot, there is an action with new secret, the blue one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a drop down. What else is there?
New variables, new environment variable.
Okay.
So I did not want to restrict it to this tab being selected. So like if they're on this page, they should probably be able to add both without changing tabs.
Okay. So what I'm thinking here is at some point, I think secrets management shouldn't be the same as environment variables, so that we're not blocking innovation in either of the areas.
Yeah, I mean, after reading the feedback that I also received from my team, I'm thinking that maybe this is not a great idea because um, there's also a need for showing an audit trail for audit logs for the
Yeah.
secret usage. And it's going to make this page like so much more complicated. So I think I'm going to go back to secrets and variables being two different pages.
Yeah, I think I don't want to like sound like the devil, but I think from my expectation, secret is like security, which might not always fit into CI/CD or in the build menu, which is like the new menu. I see secrets more in the secure and the governed stage. And I think, I mean, in the beginning, we are working on CI/CD variables to make them more secure, but I could also use secrets management in GitLab without pipelines. I could be using it as a way to manage my infrastructure as code or something like that. I could manage my AWS secrets in there and then kind of have an API access or some automation with using that. I could be using CI/CD, but I could also be using GitLab as the single source of truth for all my secrets. And this brings us into competition with HashiCorp Vault and 1Password and everything else. So maybe we're adding too many features, but I would love to have secrets management native in GitLab, used with GitLab, but also integrated with other platforms or tools, because when I'm paying for GitLab, and this is a feedback I'm hearing from customers, I don't want to pay for HashiCorp Vault. I don't want to pay for there are many others out in the market. Maybe I want to integrate, and this is a separate feature request. I would love to integrate 1Password and HashiCorp Vault, similar to like using GitLab secrets management. but I also would love to just also would love to just use GitLab secrets management and nothing else. And if it doesn't provide all the features yet, I can still either contribute because it's open source and open core, or like create a feature request, and we can collaborate on that. This is what I envision for secrets management, like not in the next year, but hopefully in the future, in the coming years.
That kind of makes me like think about how we are structuring it right now. So it's very much tied to the GitLab namespace hierarchies.
And I was thinking about this before when you mentioned the scope of project, or I want to manage secrets on the project level. I think that makes sense, but the default should be managing at the group level, at least for the GitLab.com SaaS. And also, yeah, the responsibility for instance-wide secrets depends who has access to which things. So the reason why I'm thinking this is I'm not super happy with the instance, group, and project level way of managing secrets, because sometimes they don't fit. Sometimes you want to give access to a specific secret to a multitude of groups, some projects, or some predefined label or filter, whatever is provided. But this is far too advanced now. I'm just like thinking of, I think in the beginning, it would be great to have secrets management on the group, instance, and project level, but not within variables. I think variables should be visible in the build menu. This is a great addition.
Yeah, I agree that we have to rethink how this is placed, and not also restrict ourselves to club these together, because their function, it's very much different. Secrets definitely don't tie in very closely with the CI/CD features, and we shouldn't try to portray like it does.
And yeah, I think we can reuse certain UX elements, forms, and all the things. But I fear that we might block ourselves from like using all the same interfaces in the same view, because when you're in the same menu item or in the menu view, you kind of need to use the same workflows, and the forms need to, I think they need to follow the same behavior. Otherwise, I would get confused. But if I know that I'm now in the secrets area, I could be having like see the overview. I could be having the log, the audit log, and what else? Integrations, for example, because
Yeah,
I want to integrate with 1Password or with HashiCorp Vault, and this tab tells me how to do it or shows me what is actually integrated. If we build that, and variables could be, yeah, the overview, usage count from sub projects, if you view it on a group or instance level. Also something like last accessed, or if we log that, I don't know. Or not in use could also be an interesting way to figure out what is actually used as a CI/CD variable. But yeah, I need to think about also creating some feature requests.
yeah. Okay. I think this was a really good session. Are you fine with me like stopping the screen share, the recording here?
Yeah, if you need anything more or want to dive into specific workflows, we can do another session.
Yeah, that would be great. I think I would, once we like get done with this round, I would schedule another session with you, and probably also request Jocelyn to join in.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
sounds good.
stopping the recording.